Well, hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and you're on misplacedstraws.com where music comes to life. And my guest today really needs no introduction other than to say he is the best rock bass player ever, period. You probably know him from his work with David Lee Roth, with Mr. Big, with the Winery Dogs, with Sons of Apollo. But it all started out of Buffalo, New York with the band Talas. They have a new record coming out called 1985, being released on September 23rd. Please welcome Mr. Billy Sheehan. Welcome.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all those kind words. I'll try to live up to that.
My pleasure. So, Talas, the band went through a few various lineups in its original run. So, who's
Yeah,
actually coming together on the 1985 record?
that's the last version of Talas before I left to
Mhm.
go to LA and play with
Mhm.
David Lee Roth. Uh, that was version 8 or 9, I believe. In the end, we started out the guy named Mike Piccolo on drums back in the early 70s, 71, 72. Then he got replaced briefly with a guy named Brian Brothman, who was our crew guy when
Mhm.
Mike left. Uh, then Rocco Oliverio came in
Mhm.
from down near the Salamanca area. And then his brother, Danny, came and we had double drums.
Mhm.
Then we went back to a lineup that we had in a band called the Tweeds, which I was in briefly before Talas, drummer Paul Varga. And then I left the band years later and they went on without me with two guys from Rochester from the band called Whale.
Mhm.
Remember Whale? I don't know if you know Whale. Great
Yeah.
band. Dale Croston and Mike Marconi, bass and guitar, respectively. And then they invited me back to the band again,
Mhm.
and then those two guys quit, and I had to find a drummer, a guitar player, and a singer very quickly because the crew were out of a gig and the truck payments and all the necessities that need to be covered. So I got Phil and Phil Narrow and Mark Miller and a guitarist named Mish Perry
Yeah.
out of LA, and we went for a while. Changed guitarists about a year or so later. Johnny Angel came in,
Mhm.
and then I got the call to leave and go to LA. So that last lineup was really great. We all had a really great time. We're all of the same mind, and we toured with Ingve.
Yeah.
And on that tour, because we got signed by the William Morris Agency, we also got a record deal. On that tour, just prior to it starting, I was in LA because the tour started in LA, and I did the meeting with Dave and couldn't tell anybody, but I was going to leave and move to LA and start a band with him.
Mhm.
So that was when I left. It was 1985. It was right in the peak of
Yeah.
everything, and there was a million bands and a million people. And Sunset Boulevard was six deep every night of people just walking around, and every place we went, the whole scene was just exploding with bands and players and music, and so it was quite a great time. Hence the name 1985.
Yeah. Well, and the record has a pretty unique history. With the exception of the track Black and Blue, all of these songs were planned for a record that was supposed to come out in 1985. Uh, so, what was sort of the history of that? Were these songs recorded? Were they demos? What form were they in before you re recorded them now?
We were performing them live every single
Mhm.
night. And that's a great thing for a song. A lot of bands, and it's happened to me many times, you put out a record and you go on tour. And at the end of the tour, you think, could we go back and re record the record again? Because from playing it live so much, it grows and things work together. And it gets it has more depth to it. And you think of more things that you didn't think of when you first laid it down. So these things were played live every single night. We hadn't necessarily planned a record so much as these would have been the songs that would have
Mhm.
been on
Yeah.
any record that we would
Mhm.
have done
Mhm.
if we would have done another record. And we were in a position to try to find some way. And we did get signed by Gold Mountain
Mhm.
Records. Danny Goldberg, I believe, was the gentleman who signed us. He went on later to manage Nirvana.
Mhm.
He's quite a significant person in the music business.
Mm,
So it would have happened eventually, but it didn't at that time. So we had two choices. We could modernize all these things from back in
mm,
the
mm,
when dinosaurs roamed back in
mm,
1985. And modernize them and slick them up and make them,
mm,
modern together. Or we could go get into the time machine and just go right
mm,
back to where we were, and we chose that uh, uh, to go back and treat it just like we did back in the day. And I'm glad we did that because it was really a wonderful time, and it brings all of us back, all of our memories back to that time. Just sweating it out, hitting it hard every night, driving in a van, uh, uh, getting to
mm,
cities all over the place, showing up. The crew set up the gear, try to find something to eat, get on
mm,
stage, for 2 hours of hot, sweaty,
mm.
uh, and then repeat over and over and over again. So it was pretty nostalgic for all of us.
Well, and it's fantastic for the listener too, because it's funny. You get all of these young bands that try to sound like bands that were around in the 80s. The guys that were in the 80s don't want to sound like they were in the 80s. And then you have this, which is just the perfect, it brings the listener back to when we used to listen to you guys way back then.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah. And
Yeah, it was cool.
Unfortunately, we lost Phil Nero in 2021, vocalist. Were you guys planning on doing more with Talas past this record,
Yes,
before we lost Phil?
yes, we started to do shows back in geez, maybe 20. I don't know when that first show was, but it was several years ago,
Mhm.
4, maybe 5 years ago. We did the first show with this lineup.
Yeah.
We had done a reunion with the other lineup back in
Mhm.
Buffalo, and then I kind of just
Mhm.
stopped hearing from those guys. We would get offers to do shows, and they wouldn't want to play
Mhm.
them. So I, the this lineup where we'd always get it. Hey, we could do some shows with this lineup. I go, yeah, let's do it. Let's come on. So we did a free outdoor benefit for a fire department in
Mhm.
Rochester at
Mhm.
Barnard. Do you know where Barnard is?
I do. I
Yeah,
do.
so
Yep.
the fire department at Barnard outside of Rochester, and it was great. It was jam packed, and great to see so many friends that I hadn't seen in a long, long time. And we had a wonderful time. We stopped in at House of Guitars,
You
famous place in
you have to.
Rochester.
Yep.
You must. That's part of the ritual. And we had a blast. So let's play some more. So we did shows in New York City, in Albany, a couple of Buffalo, around various places, and had a blast. And that's when we just said, hey, as long as we're doing these, let's
Mhm.
record what we're doing.
Mhm.
And that's kind of how it was born.
Mm. Another really cool aspect of this record is the cover. Hugh Syme, who's best known for working with Rush, knocks it out of the park with the old DeLorean. And just, was there a story behind that? Were you guys involved in that at all? Or was that just all coming from Hugh?
I had a conversation with him, and
Mhm.
he mentioned a few ideas. But an artist as great as Hugh is, uh, just give him the ball and let him run
Yeah.
with it. And he came up with it, just brilliant. And we were supremely grateful to him, not only for his incredible job on this, but he was a very close friend with
Mm.
Phil as
Yeah.
well. So he did this for, in a lot of ways, in his honor, which was very, very nice. And he did just a great job. Everybody loves the cover.
Mhm.
I get comments on it all the time now. So
Mhm.
we're indebted to him for an amazing artistic statement there, and it really does kind of capture the whole thing. The DeLorean was in Back to the Future,
Yeah.
which was 1985 also, and there's a little time machine we got in to go back to our days in 1985. So it works out perfectly.
Mm. Yeah, and you mentioned that when you were playing these songs live and doing that tour, it was at that point that you got the call from David Lee Roth to put a band together. What now? At that time, David just left Van Halen. They were huge. I mean, what was it like from you going from a band like Talas that really was working like crazy and struggling to get there, to all of a sudden you're in David Lee Roth and bringing in Steve Vai and having just this amazing band?
Well, it was in a lot of ways a huge relief because there was a lot of pressure
Mm,
on us. Financial pressure and career pressure because you never know. Even if you do get a record deal and make a record, it doesn't guarantee anything. A lot of great bands put out great records and
mm,
that never went anywhere.
mm,
So, and as your life is continuing on, you want to have some form of success. So we were creeping away at it. We were
mm,
inching away, but suddenly the situation with Dave was just incredible. He was the number one rock star in the world at the time, and
mm,
we would go out and hang out in LA and go to bars and clubs and everything. It was just amazing, and he was very kind and very generous to all of us, myself, Steve, and
mm,
Greg, and Brett Tuggle later as
yeah,
well. So it was really a great, great, great relief for me personally because now I didn't have to worry if I was going to starve to death or
mm,
or live on the streets.
mm,
So that was a wonderful, wonderful relief to me. And back in the struggling days, we loved it, and I think it was good to struggle that hard
mm,
and struggle with no known chance of anything ever coming
mm,
because that's where you're at when you're in a band and you're trying to make it. No, but there's no guarantee of anything. I
mm,
mean, you're out there, fight for it.
mm,
You might get a little bit, you might get none at all, or it could happen.
yeah,
Who knows? And I learned so much about the music biz and how it all works, and making records and producing and live performance that it has helped me in so many ways.
mm,
Uh, I did learn a lot from the struggle as well.
mm.
And I think those things combined really helped me get to a spot in my life where I was beginning to get a little satisfied, which was nice.
Mm. Yeah, I was actually lucky enough to see that band perform live a couple of times, and it was just stunning. But
Cool.
and it was funny. I had interviewed Steve, and I had planned to ask him this question, but we ran out of time. A few years back, there was the rumored reunion of that band at the Whiskey that was shut down by the fire marshal and all that. What was supposed to happen that night, and why didn't you guys ever do it again?
It was a jam night. It
Yeah.
wasn't at the Whiskey. It was a bowling alley
Right.
on
Yeah.
on Vineland.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of it. Lucky Strike was the
That
name of it.
that yeah, it was before the jam moved to the Whiskey. Yeah.
Oh, nothing ever moved to
Yeah.
the
Mm,
Whiskey.
mm,
Whiskey was not never involved.
mm,
Uh, uh, we were gonna play me, Steve, and Greg, and get somebody to sing.
mhm,
And initially, it was Ralph from Steel Panther,
mhm,
and just go up and do a couple songs. It's just a jam too. There's no
mm,
planning, there's no rehearsal, no sound
yeah,
check. You just jump on stage and go. That's the cool thing I like about that jam is some people out there twiddling around for hours
mm,
before they start to play. Is go, okay, next, bang, they're up
yeah.
off the stage. Next, bang, separates the men from the boys in
Mm,
that case. So I forgot who suggested it, but they said, why don't we give Dave a call and see if he's around and maybe he'll want to come up
mhm,
too. And somebody did, and he said yes. Wow. So I had to call Ralph and said, Ralph, bro, I'm really
mm,
sorry. If you could keep it a secret, but Dave wants to do it. So he goes, oh, that's amazing. It's cool. So he was very kind about understanding about that. And so eventually, no one was supposed to know, and somehow it leaked out,
mm,
and a lot of people showed up, and the club blew it because they just started letting everybody in. It's free admission
yeah.
too, and so it wasn't. There was no rehearsal, no sound check, no nothing. We're just going to meet there for the first time in I don't know how many years. Get up and play. I think Shy Boy and maybe Yankee Rose,
Mhm,
and that was that. But the club let so many people in, and my friends that were there said even if you had a drink, you couldn't drink it because you couldn't get your arms up and it was dangerous, quite
yeah.
frankly. So I was on the stage, and next to the stage is the hallway to walk into the club. The club was jam packed. There was a curtain out. I'm on the stage, just to
Mhm,
quick plug in, and I saw the flashlights of the fire marshal
mhm,
coming in, and they just said, "No way, this is new Canada." But the place holds maybe 600. They'll
mhm,
allow maybe seven. They'll allow that maybe, but there was about 12 or 1500
yeah.
people, and it was way out, and it was dangerous, quite
Yeah.
frankly. They just said, "Shut it down, shut
Mm.
it down." and so we couldn't play. But there was no planning, no meetings, and no no nothing. We just showed up. We're going to play. So the good thing about that night, though, was we all went kind of the backstage area. Me, Steve, Greg, Dave, Brett Tugler, our keyboard players. Sadly, we lost him recently as well. And we had a blast just talking about the old days. And I posted a photo of all of us together, back there, because we had a great time in that band. It was amazing. So that to us was almost worth it just to hang. And the hang was a big part of that band, hanging out. We would go, when we rehearse all the Eat 'em and Smile stuff down in Dave's basement, we would hang out. We had Us Festival beer in Dave's garage, which had long gone skunk. And one of the crew guys would come out and we'd drink the skunk beer and tell stories. David tells his adventures. Greg would talk about his times with the bands he was in. Steve's adventure with Zappa, my Talas days, and we had a blast. So the hang was a very, very essential thing to that band. We made it a point to hang out as friends and buddies and bandmates, and that I think that's what led to the character of that record and those shows, very much so. So yeah, unfortunately, it didn't happen, and we talked about doing it a couple other times here and there, but it just never came together. I don't know why. I know Steve, Greg, and myself would be happy to do it anytime, but I don't. Haven't heard from Dave about it. But it would be nice to do. But
you never know.
You never know.
Yeah. You next saw success with Mr. Big, and I've interviewed Eric a bunch of times, and he loves to tell the story about how when he first brought To Be With You to you guys, he thought you and Paul would hate it because you guys were, the heavy rockers, and he's coming in with this acoustic tune. From your perspective, what did you think when you first heard it? Did you know that, this is going to be something?
Didn't know it was going to be something, but we loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And usually if you like a song right away, why wouldn't other people like it?
Yeah.
If a song has an appeal to you by your own judgment, I would imagine it might appeal to others. So we didn't think it through at that point. We just thought, man, we love this song. And Eric was really kind of reluctant about doing it. I said, no, but we had to kind of talk him into it. And we did, and we had it as the last song on the record. If we knew it was going to be a hit, we would have put it out first. Put it as the first song on the record. That would have certainly sped things up a lot, because we went out and toured, released 3 other singles, and nothing happened. It was a very crowded field at that time. There was a bunch of bands coming out, mostly of the same kind of format. One guy from a famous band and 3 or 4 others, and so I had left Dave and had a wonderful success with that. So starting this band was I knew Paul, I knew Pat, and had just recently met Eric. But yeah, we love the song right away. And we're a lot of the first song we wrote in Mr. Big was Anything for You, which is a ballad. So right away, I think it was quite obvious that we just wanted to play songs. We wanted to play music. It wasn't about, we can all play and do our thing. Yeah, but there's a time and a place for everything. But we've all really, that's where all of us were at, we wanted to play some music. We're all fans of great bands with great songs, the first jams we did were all the Beatles and Robin Trower and Hendrix, and I think the Outfield, what's that song? I Don't Want to Lose Your Love Tonight. Yeah. I remember we jammed that and all kinds of things. So it wasn't like that. So that didn't happen. We just wanted to play songs that we love. We love to sing, sing. I tell young players now, if they ask me for advice, I got 3 things: get in a band with songs, get in a band with songs that you sing. And that's the way you look across the whole spectrum of rock. That's the biggest source of success for so many bands. And so that's where we were at. And it was a great time again, too. We did a lot of good hanging with that as well. Pat Torpey, God rest his soul, what a wonderful guy. Paul Gilbert, great guy, brilliant player, lots of ideas. Paul, think of a song. I mean, literally, he would go, "No, how about this?" And there it is. We got it. Really, really great time with them. So, and we had as a manager, Mr. Herbie Herbert, who was instrumental in making the band a success.
Mhm.
Quite an awesome story.
Mm. And then you've also been involved with the Winery Dogs, which is yourself, Mike Portnoy, and just the criminally underrated Richie Kotzen. And there's been some rumors going on that after a while we might be hearing something new from that band. Anything you could talk about with that?
New record is done. I even
Mhm.
saw the cover for it,
Oh,
the
nice.
cover art. It's getting moving along. It takes a while to
Mhm.
it's mixed and mastered. All the cover art's coming. We don't have a release date yet, but it's coming. I had dinner with Richie last night. He's here in Nashville today.
Mhm.
I'm going to go out and see him play tonight. And just a wonderful talent and a wonderful guy. And we hung a lot together as well. Me,
Mhm.
Richie, and Pat Torpey jammed together a lot. Pat and I played on a couple songs of his over the years, and I played with him on some of his solo stuff. We
Mhm.
went to Japan one time and opened for the Stones for 5 shows. Me and Richie
Wow.
and another drummer. That was quite an adventure a few years ago. And he played briefly Mr. Big as well.
Yep.
When Paul left the band, we brought him in. Did an amazing job too. It was really great. And then Mike Portnoy, again, there's a guy with just an incredible history and track record, and really enjoy playing with him very, very much. As bass and drums, that's where it's at.
Yep.
So playing with Mike is a riot. And so we're looking forward. They're booking all the shows for next year now. Usually they do that around a year in advance,
Mhm.
if not more. So that's been an ongoing thing for our manager, Tim, putting all that together. So we'll be out playing like crazy next year, which I'm very, very pleased about,
Mhm.
and with a new record. And we're all very excited about it.
I can't wait. Love that band. And
Thank
actually,
you.
right there in the corner is a signed Winery Dogs poster from all
Perfect.
three of you guys. So,
Great. Wonderful.
speaking of Portnoy, too, I mean, you guys also play, in my opinion, with the greatest collection of talent in a band with Sons
Wow.
of Apollo, with you and Mike as the rhythm section, Derek Sherinian, Bumblefoot, Jeff Scott Soto. You guys were one of the first tours to really be impacted by the pandemic in 2020. I saw one of your last US shows. The band did a couple South American dates that you couldn't make. The pandemic has kind of screwed with everyone's timing on
Yeah.
projects. Any ideas of when we'll be seeing? I know you guys have a festival date coming up, but any ideas when there'll be any new music from that band or touring, or is that kind of on the back burner at the moment?
I just don't know.
Hmm.
I hope soon. I love playing in the band. It's a
Hmm.
riot. And again, Jessica Soto does an amazing job as a front man. Bumblefoot is mind blowing on guitar. Derek is a keyboard
Hmm.
wizard. He's really great. He's a funny guy. And of course, with Mike as well. So, yeah, I love that band. I love playing in that band. I love the music very much. Just don't know when
Yeah.
we're going to be able to do anything together again. Hopefully, hopefully, ASAP.
Mm. Now, one thing I will say, and you could thank Paul Gilbert for this because he's the guy that started it. When you come on Misplaced Straws and you're holding a guitar, you got to play. So, would you like to be the first bass solo that we've ever had on Misplaced Straws?
I do happen to have my bass. It happens to be here on my lap.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
I have to think of a name for that piece.
you call
Uh,
Misplaced Straws, because here's where it came up.
the legend of the misplaced straws.
There you go. We've been spending some time here with the incredible Billy Sheehan. His band Talas, they have the new record called 1985, which is out everywhere September 23rd. It's a great listen. It's a fun record. It will transport you directly back to 1985, which is a really good thing for some of us. So, Billy, best of luck. Thank you so much. And
Thank
hope
you
we
very
catch you on
much.
tour again soon.
Very, very soon, I hope. Thank you for spending time with me today and all your kind words. And to all your listeners, I wish you all the very, very best. Thank you.
Thank you.